from their Pointy Rounds project. That's I Like Dogs. Before that, we kicked off the third set triple play with Lonely's Not the Same as Alone from their Sharper Than Some album. We've got Bill Owens from Blunt Objects on the phone. Bill, how's it going this evening?
It's going great.
Hey,
it's going great. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, we're doing excellent, and we're doing especially well now that we just got done rocking that extremely fun I Like Dogs track. We told you in our questions that we sent over in advance that I kind of wanted to discuss a little bit. This is I think this is our third or fourth time having you on the show here, and we always try to look for a few different things that we can discuss and look at different aspects of the people's process in the making of their art and things like that. I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk a little bit about the things that kind of make up Bill Owens and the things that led up to Blunt Objects, because I mean, you've been working on and around music for quite some time. And so we thought it'd be kind of fun to set up, what is it, Bill, that over the years that has kind of gotten in terms of like musical, the drive, the things that makes you go, you know what? And the reason why I'd like to talk about this is because last year you unleashed a torrent of music. And I think it's so cool. And so I thought it'd be fun to talk about, what it is that gets you going in terms of music, and then how that all kind of led up to Blunt Objects. And then we'll get into how that kind of led into the torrent of music that you released in 2022. So where does all this begin, Bill? Let's go there.
Well, back 50 years ago when I was 20, I lived in Tucson. I wrote a bunch of songs, and then after I left Tucson in 1976, I went to Minneapolis and started a band called Me, and played live for a couple of years, played in San Francisco with a band of the same title, different personnel. And then my wife at the time and I retired to the home recording. We got ourselves a Porta studio and had a synthesizer and a Farfisa organ and made music. And then towards the end of the 80s, I got kind of lost and caught up in corporate culture and making a living. And the music kind of got sidelined, except for just a hobby here and there. And then when the pandemic hit, I had lots of time on my hands. I'm retired now, and got into it and found out that I really liked it. It took me a year or so to learn how to use the new stuff. So I use a computer now and just a couple of instruments, and mostly virtual instruments. And started recording in 2022 also with Matt Rendon Matt Rendon at Midtown Island Studios. And he and I recorded 40 songs last year and went back and essentially redid the catalog from the early days, bunch of songs that had never been released. And as I was going through the old stuff, that started generating all kinds of ideas. And I read a lot and I observe a lot, and I'm a fairly political animal. And being retired and looking now at the end is a lot closer than the beginning, I write an awful lot about what I'm feeling like these days in terms of where my priorities are. And got COVID at the end of June, and that just kind of lit a fuse on things. I've written, I think, 40 songs since then. And you guys have seen most of it with the recent releases. Released 3 Did Not albums last year, 5 Blunt Objects. And I've got one of each of them, another one ready to go within probably the month. I've got to do some final polishing on it. But basically my process is I sit down every day because I have the time to do it. And I spend 3 or 4 hours either on my guitar or on the computer, just setting up songs and setting up chord progressions and seeing if I can find a melody in there that works. And sometimes I start with words, sometimes I start with the music, but anymore it's just finding an interesting progression, finding instruments and textures and colors that sound cool in it, and then waiting for the song to come. And if I spend enough time at it, it generally gets out there.
Well, that is such a cool, and I get that I put that on you pretty heavy there. I'm like, Bill, go ahead, start at the beginning here. But that was an awesome, summary of everything that gets us up to date. And I'll tell you, that's so cool. I mean, getting caught up in the corporate culture is kind of, a part of, American life at this point. And it's maybe not so much but what the point that I think is so great about it is that you've come back around to this, and that you've reignited that flame, and, it's like you picked it up like you hadn't even set it back down, and I think that is so great. So then you gave us a little idea of the process there. You told us that it could be, you could start out with the lyrics, or you could start out with the melody. It just kind of depends on how you're feeling on the day. So then how is it? So you go in, you kind of poke around a little bit, you get things going. At what point do you pull the trigger and say, you know what, I'm going to record this?
Well, I usually start off with the intent of recording. A lot of it never makes it past the draft stage. I got all kinds of stuff laying around that goes in the idea bin. But usually I know when it's done, and I know when it's time to turn it over to somebody else. Jim Waters masters and mixes all of my blunt object stuff, and he's become just incredibly valuable because he can do all the knob twisting and stuff that I don't know how to do yet, and I can probably learn, but I don't think I've got 30 years left to learn it. And he's already got all the experience.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I take it to him, and it's like, I bring him a chunk of marble, and he carves away all the stuff that's not supposed to be there, and I end up with a song. So. Well,
that's so cool, and along the way, we see the people that you work with. But tell us a little bit. I mean, we know that you did some stuff with Revwin. How is it that you go about? I mean, because the people that you're working with are people that we adore and that we think are absolutely talented. And so how is it, Bill? How is it, and who is it all that you're working with on these blunt object projects?
Well, it's mostly me. Jim, I've given license to go ahead. When I send him files, if I've just told him, play it how you hear it, and if you think something's missing, don't be afraid to chip in. And you see it in spades on stuff like Call It Sex and Attack of the Stupid People. The beginning and the ending of Attack of the Stupid People is all Jim, and he's bringing in soundtrack stuff from places and effects, and he'll bring in a bass or a guitar once in a while, and he doesn't usually tell me, and I don't ask him, but he makes it all sound right, and he adds to it what he needs to. And on Lonely's Not the Same as Alone, a guy named Cat Prisbury plays guitar on that, and he's with Bones in the Walls, you know, Bones in the Walls.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that's the name that I saw on there, Caitlin Prisby. And yeah, we love Bones in the Walls here. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, and I met him virtually, during lockdown, just exchanging emails and exchanging songs, basically. And so that collaboration was all done virtually. I didn't meet him in person until about 4 months after that. And then with Matt, Matt and the Did Not stuff, Matt's like my personal wrecking crew. And he's probably not my personal, he's everybody's personal wrecking crew, but he can play everything and makes all kinds of stuff happen. And when I go in with him too, I just let him run the show because he knows what he wants to do with it. So I'll play him a sample, and I might have 2 or 3 different versions of songs out there that go to the song that we're trying to do. And he'll figure out how to arrange it and what steps to take, and I just follow along. And we sing, and I sometimes play a keyboard part, but otherwise he plays everything, and it comes out pretty neat.
Well, Bill, it sounds like you're having all the fun out there, and we absolutely love supporting Blunt Objects here on the show. Tell everybody where it is that Blunt Objects can be found most accessibly these days.
Bluntobjects.bandcamp.com. I've got a website that I've just recently developed, with the help of a guy named John Paul. I couldn't have done it without him. And he plays with the websites. And that is bluntobjects.bandzoogle.com. And I'm on SoundCloud and Spotify and all that. So it's easy enough to find me if you know what you're looking for.
Very awesome. And then one more thing before we get out of here and play some music off your Call It Sex project. Where is Blunt Objects? Is Bill Owens getting out there and playing live these days? And if so, where at?
Well, my first show is scheduled to be March 4th. Rev Wynn has invited me to play in front of, I'm assuming in front of him and Glacial Wave. And that'll be at the Screening Room on March 4th. It'll be the first time I've performed since 1978, if you don't count karaoke.
That is so exciting, Bill. We're going to make it out. We got to come see you guys play live. That'll be so fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be interesting anyway.
Well, thank you so much, Bill, for stopping by the show.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Let's go ahead and wrap up this third set triple play feature with Not My Girl from their Call It Sex album. This is Blunt Objects on the Arizona 411 third set triple play feature.